Okay, so in the video, there was the explanation of the mythology of Horus and Set. Horus represented the sun, a similar character to Jesus, and Set represented the night. Horus versus Set. Set is another word for Saturn, which is also another word for Satan. Think about Jesus and Satan. There's duality here. In astrology, the symbol for Saturn is as shown on the screen, the cross with the crescent. That's the symbol representing Saturn. Here in letters to numbers, this is where we talk about gematria. This is the additional knowledge to what is shared in the video. The word cross has a gematria of 74, so does the word Jesus. They say Jesus was crucified on the cross at age 33. An interesting note for people who live in the United States, only the 33rd state, Oregon, has a gematria of 74. Think about how the nation's birthday is July 4th, 7-4. Sharing this gematria is Lucifer, another word for Satan. Lucifer shares the gematria of 74. Also, think about this. The words crucifix and God's Son have gematria of 93. In the video, it talks about how Jesus is a metaphor for the sun worship. Truth seeker, they say the sun is 93 million miles from Earth. 93 million. God's Son, crucifix, 93. And with regards to Saturn, it has gematria of 93. It is the only planet that has gematria of 93. In mythology, some believe that Saturn was once much closer to the Earth and was the original sun for the Earth. I'm not saying that's true, but that is something that is taught also in ancient mythology. It is part of the tie-in with Saturn worship. With regards to the crescent being part of the cross symbol, in this research of how numbers are paired through words, science, spirituality, there's often pairings of 33 and 74 as well as 33 and 93. Crescent, the word, has a gematria of 33, just like Savior with the King James spelling, just like Jehovah, just like the Son. See how it all ties together so nicely? The words have numerical equivalency just as they do in symbolism that is taught through mythology and through Christianity and the other predominant religions of the world. For those of you who are of other spirituality, on this blog I show countless posts between the numerological, the gematria alignment between the different faiths of the world. This isn't just true of Christianity, it syncs up in Islam, Hinduism, and more. So with regards to these numbers, here's some more overlap. In Jewish gematria, Satan and Gospel share gematria. Interestingly enough, the 33rd state, Oregon, does as well, the only with 74. The Gospel, of course, is supposed to be the teaching or the revelation of Christ. All of these words have 74 gematria, truth seeker. Jesus, Christ, Yeshua, the Greek spelling, Joshua, the English translation of Jesus, Muhammad, the figure in the Quran, Messiah, pinnacle. Decoding the alphabet by letter placement, A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, up to Z is 26, is called simple English gematria. All of those words sum to 74. Again, only one of the 50 states sums to 74, the 33rd state. I say that just in case you're starting to think a lot of words sum to 74. It isn't so. But words of significance, they have these relationships showing that our language is likely built on this. Who's done this? The Freemasons, who've been around for thousands of years. Masonic equals 74. Again, Lucifer, 74. Check this out here, truth seeker. The cube is used to represent Saturn. The cube used to represent Saturn. A cube is also represented as a cross unfolded. The cross and the cube for Saturn share this relationship. We talked about how cross 74, Saturn 93, how 74 and 93, a lot of meaning. The numbers share relationships, just like the symbols, the objects. In Freemasonry, it said that the black cube is seen as a symbol of judgment. Just notice how the words judge and jury have gematria of 47, 74. Very special numbers. At the World Trade Center, they now have this monument, a black cube in the ground. There's also a black cube above ground in Manhattan. Black cube symbolism is shown all throughout this world, connected to all different spiritualities. The reason why is because these symbols are of great importance to the people who have enslaved us. These are the Freemasons and the Zionists in high places. I want to point out that New York, almost everything in New York is coded 3993. The building built in place of the World Trade Centers is One World Trade Center, which has a gematria of 93. New York's date of establishment sums to 39. NY in simple English gematria 39. Again, everything in New York coded 39, 93, a cultural mecca. Symbolic numbers. New York City is also on the 74th parallel. Here we go again with 74 and 93. With regards to the World Trade Centers, they began construction in 68. They fell down in 2001, 33 years later. 33, 74, 93. On that day, there was Flight 93 of 33 passengers. Flight 11 hit the giant World Trade Centers that look like big 11s in the 11th state, floors 93 through 99. The next plane, Flight 175, hit the other building at 9:03 a.m. 93 World Trade Center bombing, one World Trade Center equaling 93. This is no coincidence, truth seeker. This is how we are enslaved as the Zeitgeist film begins with the cage around the planet. That cage represents the lies that have been taught and ingrained into us through religion, through government dishonesty, events such as September 11th. This research is to expand on what was shown in that film. This shows how our language is part of the prison planet, something neglected in the film series, I imagine because the creator was not aware. Now, with regards to Saturn being Set, being Satan, check this out. Supposedly, Saturn's speed, its orbit around the sun, is 9.69 kilometers a second. 9669. The religion Satanism has a gematria of 96. It is said by people who leave Freemasonry that they find out it is Satanism in disguise. Freemasons, Satanism sharing this gematria of 96. Freemasons pride themselves on being the keepers of knowledge. Knowledge has gematria of 96. I have been arguing for more than 2 years that the people who rule this world have tricked people into being Satanists. And if you study what Satanism is, it is self-worship. If you want to use Jesus as Satan as the metaphors, Jesus represents the selfless, working for others, working beyond yourself. Satan represents doing what is right for yourself before others. The people who rule this world, they want us to be individualistic and serve ourselves first, because then we are more divided. We are more easily ruled over. That's why there would be a global agenda for tricking people into Satanism. I will upset a lot of Christians here, but I have thought for much of my life that Christianity is a trick to get people to follow the practices of the Satanists. And why do I think this is so? Because the Christians, they make their most important belief one that has to do with themselves. The belief that Jesus died on the cross for our sins, and that is the most important thing anyone can do, is believe in that, which to me seems foolish. It seems foolish because there clearly are more important things in this world, such as taking care of your neighbor. And that belief It allows people to do wrong to others for all sorts of reasons. For one, many Christians think that because they believe in Jesus, they are free to sin and they will be forgiven. They also are taught that people who do not share their belief are not as worthy. That opens the door for wrongdoing because they see themselves as superior. Many people who aren't Christian know these lessons well, myself included. I could be wrong in how I have come to understand this, but this is what I see in this world. This is what I express. This is what I want people to think about. If you're a Christian, I don't want you to abandon your spirituality, but I want to think, or you to think about what you've been taught, and if you really do think it is right in light of all this other information in the world. Should be known that in the Bible it says you're supposed to worship on Saturday. In the time of St. Patrick, the Catholic Church moved the day of worship from Saturday to Sunday. The Jews still worship on Saturday, and Saturday is named Saturn's Day. Of course, Saturn has Gematria of 93. In Israel, the Zionist state, 93 is of great significance. The country was first drawn up on September 3rd, 9-3, in the year 47. Their Congress is called Knesset, which has Gematria of 93. A lot of Israel's history surrounds this number 93. Think about how the Jews worship on Saturn's Day and how that connects to 93. With regards to the Christians worshiping on Sunday because of the Catholic Church, think about the metaphor of Jesus being the sun and Sunday being named after the sun. When you really start to think about things, it should bring a lot of clarity to your mind. The information is out there to discern truth in this world. Think about it. You Christians, I make this for you most of all. The last point is applying these skills. The people who run this world, who worship Saturn, they are very much numerologists. And in numerology, when numbers stack, their power builds. And it seems that the people in this world, they're aware of this, and they use these skills in plotting their wrongdoing. September 11th, a great example. In 1968, 33 years before September 11th, 2001, 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. World Trade Center construction started. George W. Bush graduated from Yale in Skull and Bones. Space Odyssey 2001 came out. And then we all know what happened 33 years later. There is an annual day of worship, Saturnalia. On our calendar, it falls on December 17th and goes through December 23rd. Here's what's interesting about this year and numbers stacking. Keep this in mind as we talk about the powers that be operating by this numerological code and worshiping Saturn. Saturnalia, this holiday, has Gematria of 44. This year, Saturnalia begins on a date with a numerology of 44. Saturnalia, the big way, sums to 116, and this year it falls on a Thursday, the day of the week that has this Gematria, also the number 911 upside down. The date of December 17, 2015 also shares numerology of 64. Words such as Israel, Zion, and Thelema all have Gematria of 64. Thelema worships the number 93. Their phrase is do what thou wilt, which in Pythagorean Gematria equals 64. A lot of big events are being foreshadowed in this world. Israel in history has always had a big year in the year of blood moons. The final blood moon concluded this year. Remember this date, Truth Seeker, December 17th. It ties into all of this worship of the sun, of Saturn, this numerology, this esoteric knowledge. It's one thing to have the skill, it's another to be able to apply it. I'm trying to teach people how to apply it. Remember the dates, December 17th through the 23rd this year. I expect big headlines. Possibly for Israel, and possibly from the many other nations that are under Zionist control as well. So that concludes the Gematria supplement to Zeitgeist Prison Planet. All right, truth seeker, until next